Right. Successful Indie Author 5-Minute Focus, episode 258. How many characters? How many characters are the right number for your manuscript, for your story? I go for no more than 8 because Star Trek, if it's good enough for DC Fontana, it's good enough for me. Star Trek, the original series, everything I need to know about the universe I learned in Star Trek, the original series. So that's why I always reference it. But they had 3 main characters, and those 3 main characters, each one during the series had an opportunity to lead the story. They would run the storyline, but because issues, William Shatner had to have the most lines in every episode. So he always was interjected and had the lines and got the most lines. It's a different issue than writing a story with 3 main and 8. 8 is a great number because it's easier to keep track of. It's easier for the readers to keep track of who's doing what. And 1 main, 8 total characters. We wrote a serial called Dark Landing, Scott Moon and I, and we had 8 characters, and at any different episode, one of those characters could lead the parade, and that they would then work the issues that kept the story moving forward. Why did we do that? Because we wrote it for TV, and for TV, it helps for filming if you can have one character running the train here and a different one doing this scene and a different one leading this scene. It just makes it easier to film concurrent scenes through the story, as opposed to having one main character that always has to be in every scene. Then that's a little bit of a detractor, like Harry Potter movies, about 29 hours of video, and Harry Potter is in, I think, 19 hours of those, and he's the leading character that has time on screen, but only 19 hours out of 29, 2/3 of the time, you've got Daniel Radcliffe on the screen. So think about this. That's how readers assimilate the knowledge. That's how you build a world. That's how you present things. It's not always through this one character. So how many right number? I wrote another series, My Judge, Jury, and Executioner, where I had 1 main character, and I made her the main character. And then all of a sudden I needed more because the pressure of her constantly have to carrying the burden of the story was too much for the author to maintain. And let me share the here. Let me find a couple other main characters. And now we have a whole crew with about 8 main characters. Interesting how that happens. The main characters can drive the main plot forward, but those side plots, those dozen side plots that you're looking at, well, that's what all the other characters can do, add interest and support the main character. This way, the main character isn't superhuman and always doing everything, always with the insight, always acting, always doing. Sometimes the main character needs to step back and help others perform the acts to then move the plot forward. All good stuff. All good stuff. Teams were then individuals in certain circumstances. In the majority of stories, you'll see there's more than one person. Who was the lead character? Frodo or Sam? Secondary characters. Sky is the limit, but if too many, then you have to have red weddings like George Martin did and just kill off a bunch of characters because, hey, there's just too many all of a sudden. And how much space do you give your secondary characters? I've read some space opera where the captain of a vessel, hey, they give them a quick, here's the name, here's the background, here's their relation to the main character, here's some other interesting stuff, and then you never hear from them again. One thing I do is if I'll say the captain of this ship's captain, the captain, and leave it at that. I won't add a name if I don't want to, if that captain isn't going to perpetuate their appearances within the storyline, within the series. It is difficult to maintain all of those. It's hard on the reader because they get confused, especially if you have character names that start with the same letter. Another important safety tip, if you have Bill, Bob, and Ben, readers will get confused over time because they're all going to blend it, and you're going to confuse them too. Right, Bill when you meant Bob, and then Ben's going to appear, and it's like, where'd Ben come from? Well, that's supposed to be Bob. It's just confusing. And so the different letters, it's a writer trick. You use different letters for generally your main character body. And at the end, I everybody into a spreadsheet as I create a new character, especially if I give that ship captain a name. That's for the readers. Here's the insight. You're going to see him again. All right. So that ship isn't going to be completely destroyed and they're going to die and everybody's going to die if I've just named the captain. So that's my trick, my inside tip to the readers. If I name somebody, you're probably going to see them again, even if it's the next scene and then they die, but at least you're going to see them again. Just you're on the readers that here's this captain doing this, here's this person doing that, and just describe their position and move them forward. Because I had one series with just hundreds of characters, and I was so damn confused. I had my insider team. I'd keep asking them questions. Who's this person? And then they'd tell me, and it's like, oh, okay, yeah, I better do this with them. Yeah, don't do that to yourself. All right. Hopefully that helps. Characters. What are the right number of characters? I think 3, 1 main with 3 pseudo main, and then 8 total main characters that you can use to be leaders of the plot at any point in time during the story. Out of those 8, don't bring in secondary like NPCs, non-player characters. Don't introduce them, have them do something great, and then they disappear. Don't do that to your game master, my God, or your players, heaven forbid. Peace, fellow humans.